Happy Saturday, everyone. Going live here for immigration questions. I just went to a holiday bazaar, like one of those holiday markets, and it says, just breathe. I had a feeling I'm going to need this for the next 4 years. So I treated myself, got a new reminder to breathe, reminder to stay hydrated. This is going to take everything we have to get through the next 4 years. So coming on here live to answer questions. There are already changes in immigration law. If you have not already heard, the parole in place program is no more. So even though Trump has not taken office yet, we are already seeing changes. And I think that's one of my biggest takeaway from the first Trump administration was not so much what he did, but what he emboldened others to do. So we already saw Stephen Miller posting this week that they are the process of denaturalization, that they began to ramp up for investigations about people who should lose their citizenship. He posted this week that they are turbocharging it for 2025. So we are already seeing people emboldened by Trump. I'm sure you guys have seen this thing that went around, all of these text messages that went out to crazy. I don't know how they know the demographics, but all the text messages that went out to Black people, advising them that they were to show up, that they had been assigned to certain plantations. So I'm already seeing a lot more hate on my social media, on our, even on these lives, a lot of people saying go home. So my response is always, this is home. Bright, yes, you can ask questions here. Go ahead. También hablo español si tiene preguntas. Aquí hay una pregunta hace 8 meses. Que sometí la solicitud de la residencia bajo la visa juvenil, ¿cuánto demora? Me encanta que ha recibido ya su aprobación de la visa juvenil, que bueno, esto es un programa muy, muy buenísimo. Estamos viendo como 18 meses o casi 2 años para la residencia. Mientras tanto, está aquí legalmente y no tiene peligro. Así que buena suerte y felicidades. Yes, I'm bilingual. I speak Spanish and English. I'm an immigration attorney. I have worked with immigrants and served immigrants since 2000. I started as a legal assistant and then eventually I went back to law school. And since 2010, I've been a licensed attorney serving only in immigration. I encourage anyone, if you've ever thought about law school, now is the time. Please go back. We need advocates. We need people who will fight for immigrants. Rodrigo, ¿me afecta el presidente Trump? Sí, va a afectar bastante. Una de sus promesas más grandes de todo el proceso para llegar a ser presidente fue de que va a deportar a todos, no solamente los que no están aquí legalmente, los indocumentados, sino está prometiendo deportar a los que están aquí legalmente también. Okay. Yes, so I was saying he was asking if Trump's going to affect him, and I definitely think it will. One of Trump's primary campaign promises was to deport, mass deportations, right? Not just people who are here undocumented, but people who are here legally, like temporary protected status, I think is going to come under attack. DACA is going to come under attack, I believe. Anything that's temporary. Even Stephen Miller was posting this week about denaturalization. That's the process that they go to reopen your citizenship that you work so hard to get and can take it away from you. Is military PIP still in effect? So what was ended this week was the Family Unity Parole in Place, PIP. That program ended this week. because the judge decided that that program was illegal. So those cases that have been waiting for approval will not be able to be approved. I am very concerned about the military parole in place program. That was a program that Trump tried to end during his first administration. He received a lot of pushback. Unfortunately, that program is still ongoing, but I'm concerned now with the death of this new parole in place program that there will be other parole in place programs that are going to be impacted. Those from Afghanistan, they evacuated, their applications are pending. They are also illegal or without documents. Hopefully anyone who's here from Afghanistan was able to either get temporary protected status, and they also have an asylum case pending. They should qualify for asylum, but it does take quite a long time to go through that process. So they should make sure that they are represented. We take those kinds of cases. You can call us if you have any questions, 541-653-8899. We have a free discovery call to let you know what your options are and how we could help. Rodrigo dice entonces, ¿qué debo de hacer? Porque estaba preguntando si él va a ser afectado por el presidente Trump. Lo que debe de hacer es buscar opciones, llamarnos 541-653-8899. Tenemos un proceso completamente gratuito donde podemos averiguar cuáles opciones tiene y hacer recomendaciones basado en sus opciones. Entonces, estamos recomendando a todos, si tienen opciones, si sabían que tenía opciones, pero estaban esperando por flojería o no tener dinero o lo que sea, debe de empezar de procesar su caso. Would a DUI affect a case, Regina? Sometimes it does. Depends on what other issues are in the case. So definitely talk with an attorney about that. Oh, somebody's asking, would that affect Elon Musk? So I heard an interesting thing today that they are going to declare him as how do you call it? Like that he was actually born here, even though I think he's a naturalized citizen now, but even though he worked without authorization, it's now come to light just a few months ago that he was, technically working without authorization. I hate the word illegal, but that's what he was doing. He will not be at risk of losing his citizenship, I'm sure, because he's probably going to be in the government now. Why is ORR and HHS still able to run? They've lost hundreds of thousands of kids at the border. I know, they're completely inept, and most of those kids still haven't been reunited with their parents. I can't imagine. I'm a mom. My daughter's 12, but I can't imagine like being separated. Number one, I can't imagine having to make the decision of like leaving my country, right? Just take everything that I know and everything that I've been surrounded by, having to make that decision that it's not safe for me to be in my country anymore, going to another country where I'm told that I will be protected, and then having my kid ripped away from me. It's unimaginable. Summer times, what about green card holders who has a misdemeanor 2004? Depends on when you got your green card, what type of misdemeanor. Even some misdemeanors can get you deported, guys. So before you plead guilty to anything in court, make sure you're talking with an immigration attorney to know how that's going to impact you. Okay. Veo que tengo personas viendo también en Facebook y Instagram, entonces también estoy recibiendo preguntas en TikTok. Puede hacer sus preguntas en inglés o español. Would getting married put my fiance's name in the system and causes problems with Trump as president? Great question. This is going to become a big concern, because if they fulfill their promise to do mass deportations, I believe where they're going to start is the people that they have their information. So anyone who has DACA, they know where you live, they know where you work. Anyone who has TPS, same thing. So, and you're required to change your address to inform immigration every time you change your address. So I think they'll start there. I would recommend that anyone who doesn't have status but has a way to receive status, such as, like you're saying, marrying your fiance, apply if your fiance qualifies, applying for something. I think that's definitely going to be better than being undocumented. Good question. Why are we still losing unaccompanied minors at the border? I don't know. If somebody could fix that, that would be amazing. My number is 541-653-8899. It's also, I think, should be in our bio. You can go to MolinaLawGroup.net and look us up on Facebook, Molina Immigration, on all of the social media. We are there, and we do give a free discovery call. 300,000. Oh my God. Why am I giving children to unvetted sponsors? I'm not the one vetting, but they do have a significant, I actually lived at the border for about 6 years. And so I worked with unaccompanied children there. And so I saw the extensive process. They did have to do fingerprint background checks on anyone that before they released the children to them. So I know that they are vetting them. We have, for my father, 3. I haven't done anything more than say we have to wait. Regina, I'm not sure what you're saying. Yeah, Pebbles, definitely Elon Musk is untouchable like Trump, for sure. Even though he is a naturalized citizen, now they're talking about declaring him as if he had been born here. He's from South Africa, you guys. I don't know if you knew that. Oh, Regina, you're talking about your father that got a DUI. He has that on his record. Give us a call. We'd be happy to check and see if that's going to affect him, impact him. 541-653-8899. Is there a time frame where they like to see you dating someone before you get married for a visa? No, not really. And it depends if that person's abroad. The only requirement is that you have met in the last 2 years. So if you are on vacation and you fall in love and you know that that person is the one for you, you can return back from your vacation and start that fiance process immediately. There's no time requirement. You just have to have met that person within the last 2 months. Sorry, 2 years. Lucky, you're a U.S. citizen, but they said your husband has too many arrests by Border Patrol years ago. Is that true? It's not necessarily the number of times that you've been caught at the border. It's really the section of the law that's going to impact them is called 212A9C. It says that anyone who entered and remained for more than 1 year and then was either removed or left voluntarily and came back without a visa, that person's going to have a 10-year bar. There's no forgiveness for that until after the 10-year wait outside the country. So it might be, lucky, that might be what's happening with your husband. My partner and I start her immigration process by December. Do you think it'll go through by January? No, that's too fast, but through marriage. But they're usually taking about 6 to 9 months now. We do expect that things will slow down because what we're expecting is that they're going to go back to requiring interviews for all marriage-based cases. Right now, they haven't been doing that under the Biden administration. So they've been going really fast, like 6 months even. So it's definitely not going to be by a year, but I would recommend that anything that you're going to start, get it started now so that you'll be ahead of anybody else. Yeah, when Trump says immigrant, he means anybody that is Mexican. I mean, really, like he's okay with Elon Musk, who's an immigrant. But if you come from a part of the world where your skin is darker than his, you are an immigrant. What about an approved VAWA waiting on the I-45? Will that make us deported? I hope not. I keep saying that Trump's a bully, and bullies go after the most vulnerable because they're really not strong, right? They just go after the people that they have more power over. So during the first Trump administration, we did see a lot of attacks on cases such as VAWA and U visas, which were created to protect people who are vulnerable and who have suffered horrific things. So I hope that there won't be any change to that. If it's already been approved, you should have deferred adjudication, deferred action. So that means that you should be protected from deportation. And that's historically been the case, but for example, under the Trump administration, even people who had a pending U visa, they told those people, you can go wait in your home country and come back after it's approved. So I hope not for you with your approved VAWA, but anything's possible. So definitely be talking with your immigration attorney. Yes, Pete Pebbles, I am an immigration attorney since 2010. I'm licensed in the state of Oregon, but immigration is federal law, so you can practice, you can take cases from any state in the countries, and that's what we do. So if this takes place, my husband, my kids born here, and me as a citizen will need to go. Yeah, that's the hard decision that you're going to have to make. If there are mass deportations, we got to think that many of these people are in families that are called mixed status families. So you've got a U.S. citizen spouse, U.S. citizen children, and then someone who is undocumented, an immigrant. If that person is deported, the U.S. citizens can stay. Obviously, they have a right to stay here, but do you want to be separated from your spouse? Do you want your children to be separated from their father or their mother? Those are going to be the hard decisions that people are going to have to make. Denaturalization of who? So there is a process, even if you have become a citizen through naturalization. If you weren't born here, you have to go through, you have to become a permanent resident for a certain period of time. Then you have to show that you're eligible for naturalization so that you can become a citizen, you can vote, you can do all the things that citizens can do. But but it's not permanent, right? There is a process where if they suspect that you got your green card in error, or if there's a reason why you shouldn't have gotten your green card, maybe some fraud or something, they can take it away. Okay, I wanted to show everybody this cup that I got at a holiday market today. It says, just breathe. I feel like I'm gonna need the reminder for the next 4 years. So all of us, let's take a collective breath. Marissa, we do a free consultation over the phone, yes, and in person, 541-653-8899. My World, will TPS be extended? Here we go. I think definitely any of these temporary programs like temporary protected status will come under attack. Currently, they are authorized to a certain amount of time in the future, usually 2 years at a time. The reason they do that is because they take a look at the situation in those countries, and if it's improved to such a point that we could send people back, they don't reauthorize that, they don't renew it. So that's possible, definitely possible under the first Trump administration. I can't remember which countries weren't extended, weren't reauthorized, but there were countries that he chose not to extend. So if you have TPS and you have other options for permanent status, you should be looking at doing that now. Well, Lucky, yes, I'm an attorney. I'm an immigration attorney since 2010. And I started as a legal assistant for an immigration attorney. Actually, I didn't know anything about immigration law until I got that job. I was like 24 years old or something. In 2000, I thought that you could just get married and your green card comes in the mail the next day. So that started my understanding of like how messed up our system is. And it started my love of working with immigrants. Will Trump ask everyone who's been here illegally to go back home while waiting adjustment interview? Who knows? Anything's possible. But the question becomes like, who's going to be suspect of not being here undocumented? Is it because the color of your skin? Is it because of your accent? Like my husband is Mexican American, he's very dark skinned, but he served in the military, like he was born here. So who is going to be a suspect? Would already having a social security number speed up work permit approval when adjusting status? Not necessarily. JD's wife, Trump's wife, Elon are all immigrants. Thank you for saying it, Rosie. He refers Biden's migrants like tren de, I don't know what that is, Aragua, and his wife too. Exactly, Melania, she says it took her like 10 years to become a citizen. She also worked without authorization. Married to a U.S. citizen, 10 years, green card holder, just apply for citizenship challenges. I'm not sure what that means. You can apply for citizenship if you got your green card through marriage and you're still married to that person. You can apply for your citizenship 3 years, 90 days before your 3rd anniversary. If it was through some other means, you have to wait 5 years. Can your boss file for you, Ernie? You work as a caregiver. Yeah, exactly. Somebody said his in-laws too. So Melania's parents, somebody know where Melania is even from? Must be like probably Russia. No, I'm not gonna start that rumor. I think it's like Eastern Europe somewhere based on her accent. But yeah, so that means her parents, they're all immigrants. DACA, what about DACA? Guys, I've been talking with DACA holders since the first Trump administration. And I don't understand why some people are married to US citizens. They could have already been citizens themselves now, but people like just feel like they are safe because they have status. But what we saw under the first Trump administration, he went directly after DACA, tried to end the program completely, tried to deport all of the Dreamers. Which is crazy to me because like if there's any group of immigrants in America that have the majority of support of Americans, it's this group of children who were brought here as children. Of course, they're no longer children, so we hear that all the time. They're not kids anymore. Who cares? They were raised here. This is like the only home that they know. And so DACA came under attack. So you can only renew it. They won't receive initial applications again. If you let it expire for more than 1 year, you can't renew it. So I would expect him to come back around for the Dreamers. If he's promising mass deportation, he's going to start with the easy ones, the ones that he has already their information. So definitely renew it now. If it's going to expire next year, renew it now. If you haven't done advanced parole, do that now. If you're thinking about marrying a US citizen, do that now, especially if it's like a same-sex relationship. I'm really concerned. That could also come under attack. So take action now, guys. Now is the time. Will a green card holder who's been outside the US for 11 months have any issues when returning? Probably. You need to talk with an immigration attorney about that. You're not supposed to be gone more than 6 months. And if you are, you need to request permission actually in advance before you leave the country. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'm getting hot up in here. While waiting for the I-130, the part in the 601A will, if I become pregnant, does Medicaid affect us? No, you can. Your kid is even in utero is considered a U.S. citizen, so you can receive medical aid. Thank you, somebody. His wife is from Slovenia. Sorry, guys, I don't know how to say it. Slovenia. We're talking about Melania here. Okay. Thanks for all the likes, guys. I appreciate it. If you know or love an immigrant or an immigration attorney, please pray for us. Please support us. Please check on us. Please ask how we're doing. Pebbles, what's my nationality? So I'm born and raised here. I just always had a love of Latin culture. So por eso hablo español. I've spent some time abroad, and if things continue to get worse here, I might just go live abroad, which is crazy, right? Like I'm trying to help people stay here and come here, and I'm feeling like unsafe in my own country. My hubby applied for advanced parole in May to travel to El Salvador, but the permit hasn't come yet. What are we, May? It's taken like 9 months for advanced parole, so it's not that long yet. Filed for VAWA almost 2 years ago. Yeah, unfortunately, these are taking a long time. The VAWAs, the violence against women for people who've been abused, abused either physically, emotionally, or otherwise by a permanent resident or a spouse. Those are taking a long time. We've seen that too. So Cherish, Trish, I wouldn't be concerned about that. What if you married, but your husband's in the Army and you haven't put it in your documents? Yeah, there is a special program for spouses of military people in the military. So definitely take advantage of that. We are concerned about that program. Trump tried to attack that program under the first administration. And now that they killed the family unity parole in place program, we're concerned that that is the military parole in place, because it's the same thing, parole in place. So if they attacked one, they're probably going to use that. That's the way that the law works. That was something I was really surprised to learn in law school, is that it's not just like laws on the books, but the way that law is created is by suing something, right? So some states didn't like what Biden did to try and help these families, and so the states sued this program, and so now a judge has decided that this program is illegal. So now that's law. So now somebody in the future can use that case law to attack other parole in place programs. So definitely take advantage of the military parole in place. We'd be happy to talk with you. Our phone number is 541-653-8899. You can also contact us. We have chat like 24/7, live people, phone calls 24/7. And we're hiring because we have, so many people need our help. If you're in law school, I encourage you to go into immigration law. I'd love to talk with you if you're interested about that. Or if you're bilingual and you're interested in working in immigration, even if you don't have any experience, we're hiring for all positions right now. Oh, thank you. Everybody's really saying lovely things. I feel the same as you. We support you. Somebody here on TikTok is saying, thank you so much for doing this and all that you do. Blue heart, we stand with immigrants. Thank you. After the election and knowing that half of our country seems to not give a damn about immigrants, it's really nice to hear your comments. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think this was a comment about the advanced parole. We need him to travel because he had a disabled son and need his to travel. I'm not sure what that means. Any changes to citizenship applications? I think what we're going to see across the board to all application types is more scrutiny, which means that it's going to take longer. They're going to take more time, review things, look at things. Under the Trump administration, they were rejecting applications if there was even a box that wasn't marked right, or a space that wasn't applicable to a client. We would usually leave it blank and they would reject it. So just stupid things that they would do to get, to annoy us. So I think we're going to see things taking longer, more, just more scrutiny. So I would expect under the first administration, we saw a lot of requests for evidence, even for evidence we had already submitted. It just delays things and it slows things down. Can you apply for your passport for your child you had outside the US, and how? If your child's outside the US and qualifies, you'll need to check with an immigration attorney. We'd be happy to look at that for you. But if they qualify, you can go to the closest US consulate, embassy, and apply for a passport there. Your husband is an illegal immigrant. I try not to use that word, undocumented immigrant. Do I need to get him into the immigration system before January? If there's something that can be done, unfortunately, like if it was that easy, like people always ask me like, why don't they just do it the right way? And I'm like, don't you think that if there was something that could be done that people would do it? Do you just assume that people are lazy and don't want status? They just want to be here undocumented. No, that's not the case. So talk with an immigration attorney. We'd be happy to talk with you. 541-653-8899. Definitely recommend starting something now before Trump takes office, like less than 75 days, guys. The countdown is on. If your mom's already in process to get her papers, what will happen? It depends on what your mom's situation is. We'd be happy to talk with you about that. Zombie mommy, I don't know anything about 401ks, you're naturalized, how to protect your money. I don't know. Talk with a financial advisor about that. Stephanie, this is one hell of a commercial for her and her company. I'm just on here trying to answer questions, guys. There's going to be a lot of changes. We're already seeing changes just this week. Trump hasn't even taken office. So is this a commercial? I don't know, maybe, but we're just trying to help people. And the only way we can help people is to be on here and giving information. So, Rose, thank you. Praying for all the immigrant lawyers and attorneys. Thank you. Your husband's application, Amanda Gonzalez, is pending with the NVC, about to become a citizen. Does that expedite his, oh, you're a permanent resident, you're about to become a citizen? Yes, definitely make sure that you let the National Visa Center know once you become a citizen, because that will, it doesn't necessarily expedite it, but they do process them differently when you're a spouse of a permanent resident. Stay strong. Thank you, Rose. Rosie, what about DACA? Yeah, so DACA, I think anybody with DACA needs to be concerned, because that was one of the first programs that Trump came after in 2016. And we've seen the damage now to DACA. Anyone who wasn't 16 years old who couldn't apply for it, because you can't apply for it till you're 16. So if you were under 16 in 2016, you're now, do the math, you're now 24 years old and you still don't have status. Thank you, Trump, for that. So I think that definitely we will see more damage to DACA. If he's promising mass deportation, and it was weird because at the beginning of the campaign, he was talking about undocumented immigrants. And at the end of the campaign, he was talking about all immigrants. They were talking about the Haitians who have temporary protected status, and, you know, going after people who have status and threatening to take that away. So, is there an age limit for VAWA? So the way that VAWA works is you either need to be a spouse of a permanent resident or a citizen, and there's really no age for that. You just have to be, I guess, old enough to get married, or a child under the age of 21 of a US citizen or permanent resident parent, or be the parent of a child over 21 and your child is a US citizen or permanent resident. So if you can show that any of those relationships, you suffered physical abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse, verbal abuse, all of the different forms of abuse, right? You can qualify for VAWA. It's called violence against women, but it also applies to men. It applies in heterosexual relationships and same-sex relationships. Okay, Wood Lane, you have a boyfriend who entered legally, came through visa, but applied for TPS before the visa expired. Great. If you're a US citizen, you should marry your boyfriend if you love him and you want him to stay. If you're local in Lane County or Oregon in general, we do a free service for our clients. We give a small ceremony. You can come and get married. We'll do a little cake, have some pictures. It's tiny, but it's legal. So we do that. We love doing that. Michael, if your mom's already in process, hopefully that'll finish. That'll get well. Okay, so here we go. Stephanie, send him all back, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, and they can come back legally. I don't usually give air to people like this, but Stephanie, I pray to God that you never are in a situation where you have to make the decision to be with your loved one or to be apart from your loved one. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Miguel, how long do I have to wait for my green card if my case is status juvenile or abandoned by a parent? I love these cases. I'm so glad to see so many of these. Miguel, felicidades que pudiste calificar para su residencia por medio de visa juvenil. Me encantan estos tipos de casos. Estoy hablando en español, pero no, imagino que habla español también, Miguel. ¿Cuánto tiempo tiene que demorar, esperar? Tiene que esperar para que una visa esté disponible. Creo que ahorita están procesando 2021, depende de qué país es. Llámanos y podemos avisarle, pero normalmente es como 3 años para esperar. Amy, your husband is an immigrant from Mexico. Do I need to get him into the immigration system before January? Definitely recommend you talk with an immigration attorney. We'd be happy to talk with you. 541-653-8899. Thanks for all the follows, guys. Okay, Woodlane, you're not married yet, but his TPS expires in 2026. I would anticipate that many of these countries that are authorized for temporary protected status through a certain year, that after that, I mean, Trump's going to be in office already, so I would expect that that is not going to be around. Definitely get married before then and get that started. Stephanie, I don't know why I'm giving so much air to you, but okay. You care about immigrants, but you care about Americans first, don't you? And this is the problem with America right now, is that we think it's one or the other. But Stephanie, it can be both. And what we're failing to recognize is the way that our country was built on immigrants, on the backs of the immigrants and their labor. And it's like, thank you so much for that. And now I'm going to send you home. Well, I hate to break it to you, Stephanie, but we need those immigrants still. We still have labor shortages. And all these people, Trump included, who say they take our jobs and they eat our cats and our dogs, it's bull, okay? I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss on here, so I won't, but you know what I'm saying. It's baloney, okay? The numbers do not support it, and it's fear-based. And I don't know about you, but I prefer to live in love and not fear. And I think that there's plenty to go around. Okay, Maria, I'm sorry, but the Biden parole program for family unity that was announced in June started in August. 5 days after it started, there was a lawsuit placed against it. The federal judge decided this week that it was illegally created, illegally, whatever, even though it's the exact same program as military PIP, humanitarian parole, all the other parole in place programs that we have been using. I am very concerned that that means that those other programs are going to come under attack too once Biden's back in office. Zombie, I don't know why you keep asking me about 401ks. I'm not a financial advisor. Please don't ask me for financial advice. Yeah. Royanes, I think it's going to be the same when Trump was in office. Very slow process. Yes, exactly. And Biden showed us, like, it does not need to be such a slow process. Why do we need to interview people who are clearly married? They have kids together. They have bank accounts together. Like, they're filing their taxes together. Why do we need to interview these people to make sure that it's not marriage fraud? Puede meter el waiver para entrevista consular. Con el recibo puedo evitar que inmigración me detenga. No. El proceso por medio del perdón y el proceso consular, como sabe, todavía no tienen ningún permiso de trabajo, no tiene estatus legal, está nada más en proceso. Entonces, ellos le pueden decir, pues puede salir. Aunque el perdón, el I-601A, es para personas que están aquí, y si sale, tiene que empezar de nuevo con el I-601. Pueden decir que puede esperar en su país. So, en mi opinión, no tiene protección. How soon do we expect to see changes affecting applications? It just depends who in the current administration is going to, or the courts or whatever, is going to feel like, okay, less than 75 days and we have a new king. We already saw this week, right? The federal judge, was it coincidence that he waited till after the elections to make this decision? I don't think so. Because if Harris had won, then, you know, whatever decision was made about the parole in place program, there would have been definitely an appeal of that decision. And so I don't think it's coincidence that the federal judge waited until this week after the elections to make the decision to end the program, because he knows now Trump's definitely not going to like want to continue that program. So that program is now dead. I'm sorry if I'm the first one telling you that. Hopefully you're working with an immigration attorney that will talk to you about other options. Olga, besides being complicated, it's also expensive. Yes. So it's not like you just, like I used to think in 2000 when I started as a legal assistant, I thought that you just married your boyfriend or whatever and their green card comes in the mail. No, it's not like that. It takes years. It takes thousands of dollars, just not just my fees, right? Some people say, oh, you shouldn't charge. Well, I have to make a living too, but just immigration, they just raised their fees in April. Saying that they would make the process faster because they'd be able to hire more people. Thoughts on denaturalization? I had never thought about denaturalization until this week, and people are like now all of a sudden freaked out about this. Historically, there's been like 11 cases of annually each year of denaturalization. That's a process where somebody who became a citizen, was not born here, that they reopen that case and decide to like take away their citizenship because of some issue in the whole process. So Stephen Miller, if you saw it, I'll post it on my social media. He said that they had already started the process of increasing those cases, opening those cases under the first administration. And they are, his words, they're supercharging the denaturalization machine. So I think that people who have any kind of concern about the way that they got their citizenship, for example, some people have come to me and said, well, I got my residency through my parent, but I was actually married at the time and they didn't find out. So they basically shouldn't have been approved, but they were. I encourage those people probably not to apply for citizenship because they could end up being deported if that all thing is figured out. But if those people did eventually become citizens, they could be the ones that their cases are reopened. So if you have any kind of inkling about that, definitely be talking with an immigration attorney ASAP. Lloyds, don't listen to them. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you so much. You're kind. You are a citizen and active duty military. Is there a way I can get my parents here quickly because your dad's sick? Yeah, give us a call. There's definitely ways to do that. 541-653-8899. Can you travel safely in January on advanced parole with VAWA? Yeah, I would. I'm planning to travel in January, actually, and I'm going to make plans to be back before January 20th. So that would probably be my recommendation to you. Just, we don't know what's going to happen, if they're going to close the borders or whatever, his first day in office. So whatever you're going to travel, I'd be back before January 20th. I went from the border and you're pregnant. Is your child a citizen? Depends on where they're born. Currently in the US, it is actually a constitutional right that if you were born here, you are automatically a citizen. That is also one of the things that Trump says he wants to take away, because he doesn't want people who aren't from here to come here, have a baby, and that baby be a citizen. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Your mom passed in 2016, but you got a case approved in 2022. Definitely give us a call. That's a complicated situation. 541-653-8899. Do the attorneys fight mass deportation? All of my attorney friends who are not doing immigration, they're like, how can we help? What do we need to do? And so there's going to be a massive fight, and we are not going to go down without a fight. And we're not going to let our clients just be taken away without a fight either. So there is still a thing called due process, where if the government wants to take you out of this country, they have to let you go through a court process where you can show either that you deserve to stay here or there is some kind of status that you should receive. So right now, as it stands, anyone who has not been deported before should still get that process. But one of the promises, one of the things that Trump has said he would do is to invoke the Alien Enemies Act, which has only been used during war. So apparently he feels like we are under invasion at this point or something, which, these are all words, right? Words have power. And so we need to be careful what we're saying, but these are the words he's using. They're invading us. And I hear this a lot from people who feel like America is under attack by immigrants, which I don't understand. Are you doing this for free, Stephanie? If not, it's a commercial. Whatever. I keep posting. I'm just not going to engage with you anymore. Rosie, you're welcome. Trump can cancel the TPS program by himself without Congress. Yes. And this is what we saw under the first administration, is that he liked to do things by executive order. And we already know that they have the blueprint. Project 2025 is basically just all of the executive orders that he intends to install. Like all he needs to do, I'm sure they have them all written up. He just needs to sign them on day one. So each of these programs, the temporary protected status, the DACA, everything, it has to be renewed at certain points. Even VAWA has to be renewed. And so these are all things that he could do with the power of executive action, executive orders. People with green card holders, are they okay? Rosalba, I hate to be like this, paranoid person, but we just don't know who's going to be okay, because at the beginning of the campaign, he was, promising to deport undocumented immigrants, but at the end of the campaign, it had all of a sudden morphed to people who had status. So I would not be surprised to see changes for legal immigrants. And I'm recommending, if you qualify for naturalization, that you do that ASAP. Mado from Afghanistan. What about for Afghanistan? So TPS is still currently an option. Asylum is still currently an option. But these are all options that people need to get moving on quickly, because they could get taken away. Can the son or daughter joining the military help the father get status? Yes, definitely. Give us a call to know more details. 541-653-8899. Is it risky to apply for advanced parole now? I don't know. I mean, we don't know the future. The approval won't come till probably next summer or next fall. Wood Lane, we're still talking about your boyfriend that's got TPS that expires in 2026. I mean, these are all personal decisions, guys. Like, I can't tell you to go out and get married if you're not ready to get married, and I wouldn't do that. But I just want people to be making decisions. Be aware that it can take over a year to get your green card. So if it's expiring in 2026, probably sometime in 2025, a year before it expires, I would recommend that you be getting married and filing. How do you prove VAWA? VAWA is interesting because it does not require any kind of police report. So many people are like, well, I don't have any evidence of it. Many times in abusive relationships, all the evidence that people have is just their story. And so that can frequently be enough. Sometimes there are other people who have witnessed the abuse or the mistreatment. It does not have to be physical abuse. It could be emotional, financial, sexual, all the things. So verbal. So sometimes kids have written statements saying, I saw my, parents suffer this. Sometimes it's friends that have written, but we've had them approved with just the individual, just the survivor's statement. So that's enough to qualify, because immigration understands that there are many types of different abuse, and there's not always evidence of it, especially if it's not physical. You're not going to have a police report necessarily. So to answer your question, classic mama, VAWA is proved by mostly just the person's statement, but it needs to be written well. And so that's why I think it's important to have an attorney support, because you want to make sure that that it is approved, especially coming into now another Trump administration. What we saw was a lot of denials of cases that would have been approved under Obama and have been approved under the Biden administration. So just a much stricter look and a process, you could say. I've heard a lot of attorneys that are filing a lot of cases where based on the kid was disobedient or the kid was mouthy or whatever, maybe there's a case there, but I think that people who are filing these need to understand what the requirements are and what the risks are involved if they file it and it's denied, because people were being deported under Trump if they applied for something and it was denied. So you need to understand that that's a risk. Eva, what state are you in? You might start looking at immigration jobs. You're a bilingual receptionist. Yes, Eva, however you say your name. Please reach out to us. We are mostly a virtual remote firm. We do have a physical location in Springfield, Oregon. That's where I live. But like half of our, no, 2/3 of our team is remote, and most of them are in other countries. So if you're thinking about, you know, maybe taking a break from the US for the next 4 years, you could still work for us and, you know, work from home and anywhere. Work on the beach if you want, I don't care. I have a different opinion about work, you guys. Like, as long as you get your work done, like, I don't care where you're doing it, what time you do it. We have a lot, right now we're all women on our firm, 15 of us right now, and some of us are moms. So like sometimes we're working early morning, sometimes late night, sometimes evenings, you know, during the day if our kids have things going on. So I love that about the way that we work. And I think if we got anything good out of the pandemic, it's that they can work from wherever. Your son is a citizen, Aunt Rosie, and she is DACA. She's a professional and they have a child, married 7 years now. What? Definitely give us a call. We can talk about options to get her residency through marriage. Los que están en proceso de asilo, pues el presidente Biden tampoco ha sido muy justo con los casos de asilo, ha sido muchos cambios, ha sido mucho más difícil que antes porque están tratando de cerrar las fronteras y hacerlo más difícil para que la gente no venga. Entonces, los que tienen asilo, espero que tienen ya representación porque va a hacer cambios casi diario a las leyes de asilo. Entonces, ten cuidado con esto. Do I believe that the order would be signed for mass deportation? I think that there's going to have to be a few things that will have to take place before there are mass deportations. I think definitely he would have to invoke the Alien Enemies Act, like he's been saying. This is something that hasn't been used since World War II. It's used during times of war under emergency situations. So otherwise, he's going to have to give everyone due process. And the current state of our immigration system is already overwhelmed. We don't have enough detention centers. We don't have enough courts. I did see that like most of these detention centers are privately owned by GEO. And so I did see that their stock like went way up after Trump took office because he's promising to build more centers and even just have like basically concentration camps throughout the country to house people. So I think there's going to be some time to get things in order. So I don't think it's going to happen on day one. There's going to be some things he's going to have to put into place, but I think it could be a lot faster than people think they have. So please don't be, now's not the time. You know, I don't know what your response is to anxiety. Some people like freeze and they don't do anything, right? And they kind of crawl up into bed and stay there for a while, but now's not the time to respond like that. Now's the time to be taking action. So that's why I'm coming on here. You guys, this is Saturday, right? I usually do work Saturdays, but I don't usually come on live. And it's still bothering me what Stephanie said, actually, like, is this just a commercial? Like, I don't have to be doing this. I have plenty of work that I could do helping my clients, but I feel so passionately, and my response to anxiety is to take action. So before the election, I was coming on here daily to remind people to vote so that hopefully we would have a pro-immigrant president. But now that we're in this situation, now I feel like it's my responsibility to come on here, get information out so that people can make informed decisions. There's going to be a lot of chaos. There's going to be a lot of, fear mongering. There's going to be a lot of misinformation. And I think it's important to have accurate information so you can make decisions. So that's where I'm on here today. You have DACA, you're married to your wife, you filed, great. You have a pending adjustment of status, the I-130, the 45. Just make sure that you're responding to, you're doing all the things, you're doing the biometric appointment, you're doing an interview if they require it, you're putting your medical exam in, make sure if you filed it on your own, I would really recommend that you get an immigration attorney to look at it so that they can see, like, did you miss something? Did you file something wrong? Because you don't want it denied and then have to reapply under Trump. Michelle, your asylum was approved. Congratulations, but you haven't had an interview yet. Do you mean for like your permanent residency interview? If you had asylum approved, you shouldn't need an interview. You might be saying though that you filed your asylum and you're still waiting for an asylum interview. Those are taking like over a decade because the asylum office is way overrun with cases right now. I want to show you again. Just breathe. Just breathe. Your asylum case, Jarmandeep, was granted July 3rd. What time can you apply for a green card? I do it now. It used to be a requirement that you wait 1 year, but now you can apply. You just need to have been here 1 year when it's approved. So I think you're safe to apply now. The DV lottery with DACA and advanced parole. You can apply for the DV lottery. I can't remember when the cutoff is. Good luck. Hopefully you're lucky. Misdemeanors from 2008. Just a reminder that misdemeanors, like it's usually like a minor thing, but even those can be considered in some cases aggravated felonies. So yeah, those could definitely affect. Michael, I'm a Christian. You're saying Jesus Christ is Almighty King. No matter what happens, he will always protect us. Yes, but some of us need protection like from deportation. So yeah, that's also a thing. Okay. Thanks for all the questions, guys. Thanks for all the love. You enter on a J1 visa, you're married to a US citizen. If your J has a 2-year home residency requirement, you can check that on your visa. It'll say either it does or it doesn't. If it does, you're going to need a waiver for that 2-year requirement. Definitely don't do that on your own. It's complicated. But if you don't have that requirement, then yes, go ahead and apply for your green card through your marriage with a U.S. citizen. Decía que mi esposo y yo tenemos TPS y mi permiso de viaje ya vino, pero no de él. Necesito que no termina ya. Sí, a veces no aprueban al mismo tiempo, entonces, pero hay que revisar bien si se va a vencer, cuándo se va a vencer su permiso para viajar. You got approved for DACA, it's still pending. What do you mean? Oops. Mi hijo es citizen, casado 7 años. Ella es de DACA, tiene un hijo. I hope I love the Spanglish. She's a professional. Rosie, yeah, deben de, si están casados, depende cómo ella entró, tal vez va a necesitar pedir un advance parole para viajar y regresar para poder arreglar. All right. Been on almost an hour. I think it'll probably kick me off here at some point. How much is the fee to review your file to see if I can become a citizen? We have a free discovery call. We will review your situation and see if you're eligible to become a citizen. Give us a call. That's free. 541-653-8899. You're 40. Can your mom who just got her green card apply for you? That depends if you're married. That depends what country you're from. That depends on what your status is currently. Give us a call. Definitely talk with an attorney about that. The update on parole in place. Okay, I'm going to end with this, guys. So the big news from this week, we've been waiting on the judge to decide the Family Unity Parole in Place program, which was a program that Biden announced in June. It started in August. It ran for 5 days. And then some states sued the Biden administration, and the judge put a temporary pause on the program. USCIS was still receiving and processing and getting them ready for approval. And on election day, the judge heard arguments and received evidence to decide in order to make a decision about the fate of the Family Unity Parole in Place program. And Thursday, late Thursday, the judge made his decision that that program was illegal and will not go forward. So I don't think that the Biden administration is going to appeal that. I think that program is dead. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. We had a lot of clients hoping and applied for it, but now that Trump's going to take office in less than 75 days, even if Biden does appeal it, it's not going to go forward. So then once Biden leaves office, then there's nobody to defend it. So the program is dead. I'm sorry, guys. As I said, once Trump takes office, things are going to change rapidly. We didn't expect it would happen even before he takes office, but you see now the influence. The influence is that the danger of Trump is not just what Trump says or what Trump does. It is that he emboldens everyone around him to take these actions. He emboldens even ordinary citizens now are emboldened to tell people to go home, just like we had someone on here saying they should go back, they should leave. I've got people always on my social media saying people should go back home, they don't belong here. Well, I disagree. This is home for many people, regardless of their legal status. No human is illegal. I believe that immigrants make America great, and that is why I do what I do. That's why I'm coming on here to give information, and I will be on here every Tuesday to Saturday during the lunch hour, live at lunch, answering your questions. So thank you, everybody, for coming on here. I'm sorry to all the questions I didn't get to. Please give us a call. We have a free process. We have somebody answering calls 24/7. They will schedule you for a discovery call. That is free, and you will have an attorney look at your information. Sorry, I'm going to decline a co-host. I'm not sure who you are. We will have an attorney look at your information. We tend to find creative solutions where maybe other attorneys haven't. So if you've had your case reviewed in the past and didn't find options, there might be something that we could do for you. Take action now while you still can. 541-653-8899. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. Stay safe.